Who remembers the Generation game? Sometimes known as Bruce's Generation game, but you know, you've had lots of different characters, but who remembers it? You know, for those that don't remember what it was, you'd have two people from the same family, but different generations. You know, like a mother and son, or a father and daughter type thing. You know, grandfather, grandmother, however you want to look at it, and grandfather, mother. And they will compete to win prizes against another family who, again, are that kind of cross-generational sort of, you know, context. It was a great game because there was always something quite special and precious about, you know, the interactions of multi-generations in that little one moment of time. It's really powerful. I mean, I've been going on a bit of a rediscovery journey myself recently. I've got, you know, like as some of you might have, the kind of Bible app, and you get to follow different sort of speaker series or topics or whatever. One I'm at the moment is called Chronological, and it seeks to kind of chronologicalise the Bible. So stories of Job, you know, precede stories of Genesis and that kind of stuff. I just found it fascinating, to be honest, because you just look at like old stories and you kind of look at them refreshed and through a different lens, and that's quite powerful. I'm currently on the story of the 12 tribes of Israel, and just learning about the backstories that precedes those 12 half-brothers, because they weren't full brothers, they were half-brothers. You know, Israel had two wives, Leah and Rachel, and you know, he only wanted to marry Rachel, but he ended up marrying both because Rachel, Leah's dad, kind of like tricked him. You know, it's kind of quite rife throughout the Bible, those kind of scenarios where people make choices that have quite significant impacts, and the way those brothers interact is really based on that one choice by Rachel and Leah's dad that has long-lasting impact. But either way, however you look at it, it's quite powerful. The story that precedes them is not just that about the, you know, two mums and a half brother kind of context, but it's also that sort of story of their dad, Israel, aka Jacob, and his dad, Isaac, and his dad, Abraham, also known as Abram. Several times throughout the Bible, you hear the phrase, "I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." And as much as that phrase reminds us that it's a promise that was kept for the Israelites, you know, and reconfirmed across the generations, it's also a reminder to all of us about the importance of every generation. I mean, in the New Testament, in the Bible, but it's about 40 days after Jesus has been born, he's taken, presented and dedicated in the temple, which is kind of customary. What happened to the firstborn son of every Jewish family, so it was very normal, you know, Mary and Joseph taken there. But there's two pretty phenomenal encounters that happen. The first is with a man called Simeon. Simeon's been waiting a long time to see the redemption and kind of consoling of this torn and broken Israel, and he's so overwhelmed with the presence of Jesus that he just praises God out loud and speaks blessings, and anyone that's ready to hear it is just there, speaks out. He's been waiting a long time, and the presence of Jesus coming to him, that seals that moment. But he's speaking out, and those who hear it are like, wow. You know, it talks about that happening with the parents, you know, Mary and Joseph. Yeah, and those parents are just overwhelmed. And you know, he goes on to talk about how Simeon blesses the parents. He says blessings over them, which tells me that he is a man of age, because that's the kind of thing that elders did to the generations below them, and he was doing that. Anyway, the second encounter was with the lady, and she's been a widow for like over half a century. You know, she was married, and the marriage lasted for 7 years before she lost her husband, and like, she's a widow for like, you know, right to the age of 85, or for 85 years, slightly different interpretations, but either way, it's over half a century she's been a widow for. And I think the way that the Bible describes it, she carries weight in what she says. And when she sees Jesus, she's praising and blessing and singing and speaking out loud for anyone that's ready to hear. And it's just this quiet context around, here's his baby here. One generation, here is two elderly people, extreme, and the other generation, and the parents in between. And that for each there is some significance. Each brings something to the table of significance. And it's just so powerful. I mean, there's a really powerful verse where Jesus is talking to the kind of leaders, and he says, before Abraham was, I am. Which is a phrase that God used, I am. I am the God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. So Jesus was clearly stating his divinity here in that statement, and it's powerful. But he's saying something that's quite controversial, but he's recognising a generational paradigm that's really powerful for us to understand. And you can go into the complexities of it, or you can just think about it in the most simplest of its forms. I mean, I was reminded today, when I was in church, about the chronology of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, and that actually there would have been a point when they were all alive on this earth. Can you imagine what each one of them would have to offer in that moment? Life is a generation game, so I spoke about it in the beginning, because every generation has something of worth to bring to the table. It's just whether you're ready to hear it. And if you're struggling to recognise that today, be it with somebody maybe in your family or just someone in your life, then just take some time to reflect on this, because the God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob was the same for all. Read Luke chapter 2 verses 22 to 40. Remain blessed.